What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I just wanted to update you guys on what's been going on over the past week or so with NC State. Things have been somewhat slow over the last week or so, but there have been some exciting things been going on I want to touch on today. So let's get right into it. And the first thing I want to touch on was some basketball recruiting news. On Monday, five-star shooting guard Matthew Cleveland out of Georgia cut his list down to 5 teams. And we did make the cut along with Florida State, Michigan, Stanford, and Kansas. It's nice to see that Coach Keith's recruiting efforts are paying off. He's really worked hard on Matthew Cleveland recruiting him. They've been recruiting for a really long time, and Cleveland's a guy who's been at the top of the rankings for a while now. He consistently has been ranked very high, and he continues to even get better. He put on a show in a tournament this past weekend against some top-ranked talent, and he'll be huge for us to land. I believe where things sit right now, we're probably behind Florida State. Florida State seems to be the clear leader at the moment. I know he has a great relationship with already committed shooting guard Bryce McGowens. I also wouldn't count out Michigan either. He got that offer from Michigan, and it always seemed that it was really important to him. So it seems like a place he's really interested in. I feel like we're up there with Michigan and FSU for him. I'm not sure how big or how high he is on Kansas and Stanford, but I feel like we're in a good spot. We may not be the quote-unquote leader for him, but there's still plenty of time to make up ground. I would not count out Coach Keats and his staff. They've been able to do great on the recruiting trail so far in his first 3 years here, and I would not count them out. And just touching on how good Coach Keats has been recruiting, he's already landed for the 2021 class the power forward Ernest Ross, the 4-star out of Florida, and then in-state 4-star shooting guard Taquavion Smith. If Coach Keys were to land someone like a 5-star shooting guard in Matthew Cleveland, or a couple of the 4-stars that we're going after in Roosevelt Wheeler, center out of Virginia, or Quincy Allen, the 4-star small forward out of Washington, D.C., that would potentially give us the #1 ranked recruiting class, not in the ACC, but in the country. Here's a graphic just kind of breaking everything down. You see our 2 current commits, Ernest Ross and Taquavion Smith. Then I listed the top 5 remaining targets that I believe are most important to Coach Keith's staff. #1 is obviously the 5-star shooting guard Matthew Cleveland. Second is the guy flat we have the best chance of landing is 4-star center Roosevelt Wheeler. For 3, we have Quincy Allen, 4-star small forward. 4th, Carter Witt, 4-star point guard. And 5th, 4-star combo guard AJ Neal. And if we were to land one of these anytime soon, we could be looking at the #1 ranked recruiting class in the country for 2021. It just speaks volumes to what Coach Keith and his staff have been doing on the recruiting trail so far. Now let's switch over from basketball to football and talk about a new commitment we got to kick off July. On Wednesday, NC State got a commitment from running back Demie Sumo out of the state of New Jersey. He's a 3-star running back. NC State continues to keep that connection from Jersey to Raleigh going. First it was Kelvin Harmon a few years ago, and then Devin Leary and now Sumo. And this commitment is really important considering that we swung and missed on running back Will Shipley, and we did get a commitment from running back Caleb McDowell, but he ended up decommitting and committing to South Carolina. So it was important to pick up a running back. We may pick up another one in this class, but I believe that one may be all we need for this, considering all of them. Most of our running backs are underclassmen at the moment. But this is another good commitment for NC State. We continue to rise up the rankings, and I think now at 36th in the country. Steady but surely we're continuing to get there and build this class up. Speaking of trying to build this 2021 class, it was expected that 4-star in-state linebacker Jordan Poole would announce his commitment on July 1st. But he gave an update on Twitter saying that his commitment date had changed and this was a business decision. I'm not sure if this is good news or bad news for State, really. I mentioned in a couple of videos ago that we made his top 3 along with Virginia Tech and South Carolina. I felt like we were the leader. We have so many connections with them, family ties. I've also heard that Florida State's made a strong push for him. They offered him a couple months ago, and even though they didn't make his top 3, they've continued to pursue him really hard. So maybe just continue to listen to him and try not to rush anything. There's nothing wrong with that. It's his choice. He can make whatever decision he wants and whenever he wants to make it. But I believe in the end he'll end up committing to NC State. It's just so many connections he has to the Wolfpack. It's good to see him taking his time, trying to make the best decision and the right decision for himself, and there's nothing wrong with that. I've spent very little, if any, time talking about 2022 recruits so far on this channel, but here is Brandon Cleveland, a 6'3" defensive tackle, 260 pounds out of the state of Florida. He's a 4-star prospect. He's real interesting because he's a guy who's already released his top 7 schools list. We did make the cut along with 2 in-state schools, Florida State and Miami. South Carolina did make the cut, as well as Auburn, Georgia Tech, and Penn State. And he's a real interesting recruit considering he's 2022 class. He's already ready to make his commitment. I believe in 2 to 3 weeks he will announce his commitment. I believe at the moment FSU is probably the leader for him. I know NC State has been involved a little bit. I wouldn't count them out just yet. I also wouldn't count out some of the other schools on his top 7 list. But I believe FSU probably will be the landing spot. He's a guy that just wants to get his commitment early, and I can't blame him for that. And if he does commit to state, that's great. It'll be a great start for our 2022 class, which has a chance to be a great class again. With so much in-state talent, it looks like it's going to be for 2022. Maybe not as talented as 2021, but still a lot of talent. A lot of guys that have a lot of interest in state so far. Our coaching staff has been in touch with a lot of 2022 guys and offering them, such as 4-star wide receiver Dakota Twitty. Twitty's a guy who will definitely be pursued by NC State over the next year or so. Very, very hard at 6'4", almost 200 pounds. He's a very physical wide receiver that I believe has a lot of interest in NC State. So we'll see what happens with his recruitment. Unlike Cleveland, he probably will not decide anytime soon. But I'll keep a close eye on all the 2022 guys and keep you updated on what's going on with them and our targets. But we're still nowhere near done with 2021. As we've seen that this morning when the class continued to grow when we landed 2 huge tight end commitments out of the state of Georgia from Cedric and Cedric Seabrough, 2 twin brothers, both very talented tight ends at 6'4", athletic guys, basketball players, guys that can you throw it up to them and then go get the ball. And that's what we're going to need at that tight end position. So state fans should be excited for these 2 to come in and be very, very successful at the tight end position, or maybe even wide receiver position. We'll see what happens. And those 2 commitments bring our class to 29th in the country and 8th in the ACC. Now 15 total commitments, and as I mentioned earlier, this class steadily but surely is still continuing to grow and get better. There's still a lot of talented guys. There's some 4-star guys that we're heavily in the mix for that we could potentially land and grow this class even more. And I think some of the 3-star guys that we have are really under the radar type guys and guys that can come in and help us right away. And that's what Coach Storen is kind of all about, bringing in under the radar guys, 3-star guys like Bradley Chubb, and turning them into first-round NFL draft picks. But you got to give our coaching staff a lot of credit for what they've been able to do over the past few months, bringing in solid guys to the class, and they'll continue to do that over the next few months. So be on the lookout for more videos here in the next week or so. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button for me. And if you did enjoy this video, make sure you leave a like for me. I appreciate everybody for watching and all the support so far on the channel. Thank you all, and go Pack.